Welcome to an enlightened hour of interactive talk. This is Guided Spirit Conversations with host Marla Goldberg. In this program, we spotlight guests from all over the globe who have helped others change their lives and will provide you with the tips, tools, and techniques that you need to help you make a difference in your own life. Now, here is Marla Goldberg.
Welcome to Guided Spirit Conversations. I'm your host, Marla Goldberg, and it's another amazing Thursday with another incredible guest. And so today's guest is Pam Walker. Pam is a medium, intuitive, energy healer, animal communicator, a hypnotherapist, and Rohan therapist. I'm going to get Pam to explain Rohan to you in just a little while. And that's just a few of the modalities that she works with. She holds a doctorate in metaphysics and holistic healing and a doctorate in Rohan therapies. And she learned all this at Delphi University. So if you tuned into last week, we had Charles Curcier on, who's one of the directors. And so there's this whole amazing tie between all of us. Pam has studied with mediums at Lilydale and Edgar Cayce Center in Virginia Beach. If you haven't gone to Edgar Cayce, I suggest it. It's amazing. Pam understands how grief and painful, traumatic life moments can affect the mind, body, and spirit. She has worked through her own painful and traumatic life experiences and has been on her own healing journey. Because of her amazing experiences that she's encountered on her journey, Pam has decided to help others through their journeys. She uses all of her tools to support her clients through health and spiritual issues, providing comfort and understanding to an animal and its owner, sharing communication from those who have crossed over to help those who are grieving, and providing clarity to those on their spiritual path. And she calls her process integrative healing. Welcome, Pam.
Thank you. Great to be here.
I'm so happy that you're here. I know we just recently met and you've done some work on my tug. And
I did.
And he really got better. So just to give a little background, my Tuggy is 11 and he's 110 pounds and he's got arthritis in his shoulders, his hips, and his back. And so Pam came in and spoke to him a little bit and did some of her energy healing magic on him. And he got better for quite a while. So we're going to talk about how you got into animal communication. And healing, animal healing too, because you're more than just a communicator, you're actually an animal healer as well.
That's correct. Yes. So I did go to Delphi and study for myself, for my own healing and my own consciousness journey. And then I realized as my clients started asking me about their animals, could I work on them? I realized that I had not put that importance to the animal. So, because this is something that I've always been able to do. It just came naturally to me. Not that healing didn't, but the animal communication part has always been a part of me.
I read that
when they started asking, I said yes.
Well, I read that story about when you were 3. That was incredible.
Yes. Do you want me to tell that?
Yes, please.
Okay. So my mom had put me on, one of those blankets that they put out on the yard and have the baby, sit on the blanket and be out in the sunshine. And I was just barely walking, is what she told me. And she forgot something, so she ran the house for a moment. She came back, and I had walked to the street edge. And there stood a huge dog in front of me. And she told me she just froze because she didn't know what was going to happen. And the dog put his head down and I put my hand on his head. And I said, that story was always in that cute, but really that was me already communicating.
Do you I don't remember much when I was a toddler.
I don't remember that. No, but I was too young. Yeah.
But sometimes there are those little flicks of recognition and remembrance that sort of pop through one's psyche.
Oh, absolutely. I tamed 2 kittens that were wild when I was probably 10-ish, maybe, and didn't know I could do it.
It's
I just
amazing.
wanted the kittens. They had been born in our flower beds. The mother probably hadn't abandoned them, but I thought they had. And I asked my dad to get them for me because I wanted them. And my dad said, they're wild, they'll scratch you to death. And I said, I want them. And so he went out with, the gloves that welders wear
Yep.
and a
Those
net.
thick
And
gloves.
that's how he got them. They were like, and so they put them in a box for me. And then my mom took one out, wrapped it up in a sheet and everything else, put it in my lap. And I was sitting on the porch rocking, and I just talked to it and rocked it. My mom left to go do work or whatever. She said, don't take that cat out of the sheet. And when she got back, the cat was loving me and meowing, and all I did was touch it and love on it. So that's, again, something that I've always had.
One thing I think I'm going to change direction a little bit that people don't quite realize is that how important touch is and how healing touch can be.
Yes, absolutely. Um, if you think about it from the energy standpoint, everything is energy, right?
Yes.
And when you have an intent within you to do something, especially if it's coming from a loving space, your heart center or your desire to help something,
Yes.
then that energy is transmitted from you to that other person or animal or whatever it might be. And it's just with intent. And people don't realize that they do that every day. They do that with their children. They do it with their animals when they're sick or when they're sad or whatever, or their family members. And that is all about, that's healing. And they don't even, I don't think most understand that that's what they're doing.
It's so powerful. I have to tell you a side story. So we're in a bird sanctuary where I live, and we've got this black ducks. I don't know what kind of ducks they are, and mallards and not swans, geese, and everybody coexists together. And every morning I go to the water and I feed the ducks, and I just go quack, 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 quack. And all of a sudden you see them like waddling up so quickly. It is the cutest thing. And I've got Tug there, and I've taught Tug to sit and wait. And so Tug sits and he watches as I feed the ducks, and he doesn't bother. I said, these are our friends. You can't hurt them. And he just sits there and watches. And it's a beautiful thing because you're, again, bringing it from the heart. And even though I'm not touching the ducks, I am putting love into the food when I throw the food out. So
well, your energy sends out your love too. And that's what Tug's picking up on.
And he just sits and he watches. And it's so funny because the male black duck beats up the female mallard, and he was like rips out her feathers and stuff. Like when we're there, we like
they're
sort
not
of
very nice in mating season.
but but I have to stop it because it's like, no. And then it's like, I'm like the mother, you can't eat now that you've been so mean to this other being. I give it dinner, but it has to learn you can't be mean. I'm all about kindness. I can't stand when animals are not kind to each other.
I understand. Yes. It's like when us humans are not kind to each other. Yes.
So are you able to communicate with all animals? Or is it mostly domesticated animals?
No, actually, I have a few clients that have farms, and I work with horses and goats and dogs and cats. And I also have a client that has a rabbit. And so one of the other things that I didn't mention is that I've always been connected to birds as well, like you were talking about birds. And so I've always gotten messages from them. So to me, energy has no limits. So I don't believe that there's an animal that I couldn't communicate with. It's whether I want to communicate with it or not. I think is, I'm not sure that if the bear was running down the lane, if I would be thinking about going, hey, stop.
I'm full of love. Don't
I'm
hurt
full of
me.
love for you.
I want to send you love.
I might just run.
Well, they say not to run though.
I know. Yeah.
So you have to do that as the the love breath that Charles teaches.
Yes,
Send out love, and
that's right.
stop.
Yeah.
So how do you receive your messages from your animals, when you're communicating with them?
Right. So there's a few ways that I do. First of all, I communicate with them first. And so I'm mind to mind, so telepathic. And usually I'm asking them if it's okay first, and then I start the process of talking to them and asking them, because I'll have a direction, based on the caretaker, what they want from the animal, or what they questions that they have or concerns. And then I also bring in the physicians that I work with on the other side. And then I also have angels, and I have guides that work with me all the time. And so depending on who I'm working with and what I need to do depends on who I'm calling in as help. Especially if we're working with a medical issue, then I've got the doctors are in there, because I don't know everything. This is channeled. This
Right.
is channeled work.
And it's amazing. But do you visualize? Do you have the clairvoyance piece with the communication as well?
So my strongest sense is sensing. So I sense the energy. And then my second strongest is knowing. And then the visual and the hearing and the taste come next. So as I'm sensing, then other things will come in. So they will describe to me what the liver looks like, say, and where it is. If I'm in an area that's where the liver is, they'll say, okay, that's the liver, and there's something going on here. Or they'll tell me about the blood or whatever. So they'll show me that. And when I mean they, I'm talking about my guidance, not the animal. The animal will tell me what hurts or what has been bothering them. And they'll also tell me if they've had an injury, how it happened. They'll show me how, because a lot of times caretakers don't know that.
Right.
The owners are not aware, because it happened maybe when they weren't home or something.
Which, especially with little dogs jumping off of sofas and beds and jumping on, they can twist something like humans, twist or
Right.
hurt something, and especially as they get older.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I had a client just recently that her dog had something going on with the eye, and she didn't know what it was. And I just happened to mention it because it wasn't something she asked me about, but I mentioned that there was, a tear on the eye. And I said, I see another dog, biting, but they were playing. So it wasn't intentional, but it got caught with that, really long tooth.
The canine.
And it actually tore underneath, and she didn't know that. So she was going along thinking it was just allergies, and it was actually getting infected.
Ooh.
So, those are the kinds of things that I'll sense.
And I'm sure you helped save that dog's sight.
Hope so. Yes. Yeah.
Because it's important.
Yes.
So I guess the question is, when did you realize that you could really do this on a regular basis? I mean, I know you had those little situations, those experiences when you were young.
Yeah.
But when you were, let's say, in your 20s, 30s, did you realize you could still do that? Or did you just know you just had a good rapport with animals and didn't take it for much?
Yeah, I thought I just had a good rapport with animals. I didn't realize because it was not encouraged in my family, because none of them had that kind of abilities. And so they just thought it was cute, and that I had a huge imagination. But as I got older, after you realize that you're using your intuition for a lot of other things, I started noticing that I did have something going on with the animals after I'd taken Reiki. That was when I started, and that was probably in my mid 40s. And that opened me up. So, but I have a story about one of my clients who had been coming to me on a regular basis, and she brought a dog to me one day, and she said, "Can you work on her?" And I said, "Well, sure." And after we got finished, the dog was so hyper she couldn't sit still. Her body was inflamed. She was hot to the touch. She was that inflamed. And she was very miserable and very sad and depressed. So we were able to communicate a lot of different things from her. And what happened was that she had this tremendous healing just in the one visit with me that was so incredible that when she walked out calmly and happy. And what she ended up doing was moving. This was not my client's dog. It was her family member. And her name was Cookie. So I have Cookie to thank for me taking the animal communication to another level, because she proved to me that the gifts that I have, I cannot not use.
You can't deny those gifts.
And she proved it to me that day when she walked out. Everybody in that, I was working actually in a store at the time, and everybody that had seen her go in did not believe it was the same dog coming out. Wow. And she ended up leaving where she lived and moving into my client's home. And she is a completely different animal now.
Wow, that's amazing.
I know. So she just, they were busy. They were a family, and they went to school and had all kinds of stuff. And she was an extremely sensitive dog. So she's proven that she's an intuitive too.
I was just going to say, animals are so intuitive, and they pick up so many human energies. I mean, they pick up their own breed energies, other dogs, but they definitely will because they try to protect the owner by taking on what's going on for them. So if they're having medical issues and are distraught, the animal will try to pull the energy away. Do you find that to be true?
Absolutely. I just recently had one of those where I had to let the client know that the dog was attempting to take away her anxiety and stress because she was going through a really rough time at that time in her life. And the dog was experiencing similar mental issues. And so she didn't realize, she suspected maybe, but she didn't realize the extent of how much the animals will do. They will take on your stuff on top of their stuff, on top of other animals in the home stuff. And they each take roles too. They'll take, one's the caretaker, one's the protector, one's going to watch and make sure the older ones don't run into walls and things like that. They take on roles in the home.
It's like in Peter Pan, the movie, that the dog, was the nanny and herded, the kids here and there and protected them and everything else.
Exactly.
Yeah. I have a story where my dog, back in the day, I had a Doberman, a Rottweiler, and a Toy Rat Terrier. And I was going through my divorce, and my Doberman kept, trying to pull my energy. So he was close to rupturing his anal gland.
Yeah.
The first time, because, what my ex was trying to do to me and his law firm, the one who was helping him. And then he actually did end up rupturing his anal gland. And I just kept saying he was taking this energy away from me, and he harmed himself in the process. I'm glad we were able to fix it. Mm-hmm. But I think it's a great example of what we just spoke about.
Yes, absolutely. They are incredibly intuitive, incredibly empathic, some more than others. And some are so sensitive that most owners don't realize that's some of the medical issues that they're having.
It's phenomenal. We need to go to a break. We'll be right back. And I want to talk to you about, do you know about watchers? Okay, hang on. Okay. Well, I guess we're a little delayed in our break.
We're late? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I'm waiting for Matt to let me know we're clear.
So I have 5 chats.
Oh, nice.
Well, we're doing that on the next break, right? After the next break?
After the next break, we do the charity shout out. We're just going to continue talking till Matt comes up.
Oh, no, you are clear. Sorry.
Oh, Okay. Well, this will be on
As
the
we keep
video.
on talking.
We keep talking. And after the second break, we go into the charity shout out, and then we go into the charity shout out, and then, oh, we have a couple of questions that we'll bring in too. Yeah, and and then we finish up.
Okay.
So when we get back, do you do readings for dogs who have crossed over?
Yes, I do.
Okay, we'll talk about that. And let's see, Bridget is reaching out to me. Same question. And nature interacts with us when they choose. Yes, they do.
That's correct. And our loved ones on the other side will use some of those nature animals to give us messages too. A lot of people say, cardinals will do that for
Yes.
them. And that's an interesting subject altogether as well.
Well, we're going to talk about that when we get back. And I know that that you can communicate with passed over. I mean, I've had communication with passed over pets. I've always been a multiple pet owner. And so, each time they leave, they're still around. They send messages. You still want to know, they still connect.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
So yeah, it's very, very, I love the fact, it's funny. I'm really good at dogs tend to just migrate to me, animals, horses, ducks, obviously.
Mhm.
But I don't hear the messages from them, but I'm able to communicate. The biggest thing I'm able to do is when I want my dog to go and take his number two, is I visualize him doing it. And then within seconds, boom, it's like, thank you for doing this.
Yes. Yes. Well, personally, I think, we can be wide open, but we don't have to be completely wide open. So I don't listen to everything that's around me, if that makes sense, all the time. But then other times it's like blaringly, you got to pay attention. So,
Yeah, well, it's like I had watched a video years ago about a psychic and how they're picking up everybody's information, and it's just a barrage, like being a schizophrenic, hearing different voices saying different messages.
yeah.
All right, sorry to interrupt, but we are just about to come back.
Perfect, thank you.
You are listening to Guided Spirit Conversations. To reach Marla Goldberg or her guest today, you're invited to call into the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. If you'd rather send an email, the address is guidedspiritconversations@gmail.com. Now, back to this week's program.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for sticking around. If you've just tuned in, I am talking to medium, intuitive, energy healer, animal communicator, hypnotherapist, Rohan therapist, to name a few, Pam Walker. So welcome back, Pam.
Thank you.
I do want to say, if you want to check Pam out, her website is pathways, plural, to healing.com, pathways to healing.com. And if you want to write to Pam with a question or to set an appointment, Pam Walker 287@gmail.com. So, okay.
So one thing, Pathways to Healing does not have an I in healing.
Oh, I didn't even notice it.
It goes LNG. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so it's, LNG, not LING.
Correct.
Healing. So now if somebody puts in the wrong spelling, will it show yours as well?
Usually, yes.
Okay. So you can find
Yeah,
Pam.
they'll usually say, did you mean? Yeah.
Going that way. So that's perfect. So we've got a question from Jean, and the question is, can you communicate with animals who have crossed over?
Absolutely. Yes. As a medium, that does not specifically just mean for humans.
And do you need a picture of the animal that is crossed over, or can they
Not
say?
always, but what I do is I like to have a picture of the animal just to have the energy, but it's not necessary. It's just nice to have a stronger connection.
Which is wonderful. So when we left, I asked about watchers, like that act as watchers. Have you heard about that phrase?
Um, I'm not sure if I know that phrase, but are you talking about animals that watch over their loved ones that they used to live with, but are on the other side?
I think it's more like they act like they watch out for you. I had someone tell me about this and I have forgotten. So that's why I wasn't quite sure. But
Okay, so that can be any animal in that regard. That's a whole different way of looking at things. So that is similar to what you and I were talking about on break. Is that spirit will, or your higher self, whichever one is going on, will use other animals, whether it be a bird or a squirrel or a dog, it doesn't matter, or they can even use horses for that matter, to get your attention. So if you could possibly be going into, like, if you were going on a walk in the forest or something, and you didn't realize that there was something around the corner that could hurt you, spirit can use an animal to get your attention to make you stop.
okay.
I mean, I've heard of that before. I've heard of people saying, if I hadn't stopped to take pictures of this, I would have been involved in something that could have been dangerous to me. I mean,
Okay.
that's been on TV, that you hear stories of that kind of thing.
You do. They're such protectors.
Yes.
I do want to leave out this number. If you want to call in, the number is 888-346-9141. Again, 888-346-9141. If you want to ask Pam or myself a question, please feel free to give a call in. I know Jean has written again, and she is talking about how her dog is going to cross at 2:00 tomorrow afternoon. So I know she wants to connect with you, Pam. So
Okay.
I just wanted you to be forewarned.
Okay.
And not in a negative way, but so
Thank you, Jean. Yes, it is, it's one of the more meaningful parts of what I do with animals and their caretakers. I call them caretakers because we're taking care of them while they're with us, but they're also our children.
yes, they definitely
So,
are.
we're doing the same thing we would do to a family member that's ill or whatever. And to me, when the animal has its voice and can share that it's okay with what's happening, they're more okay with what is happening with them than we are.
So they're
And
aware of what's going on, that they might be
absolutely,
planning all of
absolutely.
this.
Yes. Yes.
And when they're, I mean, this is just a curious question for me because I put down my little girl, August of 19, and I'm just wondering, as they're failing, are they grateful for what's going on, that they're being relieved of any more pain or discomfort or whatever it might be, or do they go in frightful?
It is an individual thing, very similar to it being an individual thing for us humans. But what I find 9 times out of 10 is they're more worried about us than they are themselves.
Oh, how
And
sweet is that?
yes, they're like, I'm going to be okay. And most animals that are at the point of getting ready to cross over are going back and forth just like humans do. And they already know that when they get on the other side, their bodily issues will be gone. They are that intuitive.
How wonderful. So here's a question, like, as a human, I know that we're met by our loved ones. Are animals met by their loved ones? Would it be their
Yes.
birth mama dog, or they're
Well,
human? I mean,
keep in mind, animals can have multiple lifetimes too. And so, yes, and they're also met by say if you had multiple animals that passed while this animal was in the home, they would be the ones also to meet them because they're friends. You know, you've watched others grieve in your home, you know, when one of the others has crossed over. Well, they're going to be just as happy to see them when they're crossing over. They'll be helping them.
Oh, that's, it's always so comforting to know that they will be helped like we humans are helped.
Yeah. No one crosses by themselves from what I hear.
How lovely. It just is. So when we were on break, we were talking about cardinals and how cardinals are really powerful messengers.
Yes.
And so I wanted to just
So
go into more
it's
detail
not
about
just
that.
cardinals, but they happen to be the ones that people pay more attention to because of the colorings. And so spirit will use them. And it's not just to see one flit in the tree and then leave. It's the one that sits there and doesn't move and is looking at you and does all kinds of things to wait for you, or might even jump on your shoulder or get on your hand or get next to your feet, or, you know, they do things to get your attention. And that is usually a loved one that is recently crossed or one that has told you already that they will communicate with you in some way or form. And so animals are used. It doesn't have to be cardinals. My father used a monarch butterfly.
Okay.
Yeah,
They're
he
so beautiful.
my mom wanted to go to the graveside after the funeral was over to take pictures of the flowers and everything. And so one of my fun hobbies is photography. So took my camera and it was just the two of us and we were looking at the flowers, and here comes this monarch butterfly, and it was a pretty large one, and it kept kind of flying around us, and I was taking pictures of these beautiful yellow roses, the stand, and it laid on the roses and spread its wings out, and it stayed there forever the whole time I was taking the pictures of. I have the most beautiful pictures of this monarch butterfly. And when I finished and we were about ready to leave, it got off of the roses and flitted around us 2 or 3 times and then left. So yeah, they'll use anything possible to let you know that they're there, because that butterfly, usually butterflies come and they go. And that one
Right.
stayed the whole time we were there.
So I've got goosebumps from head to toe right now. As you're telling this story, I just feel the waves and waves of confirmation flowing
Yes.
over me.
Absolutely. Yes.
So is there a way to communicate with your animals, and like one that might be crossed over and say, let me know you're okay, just like humans? Can you do that with them and they will?
Yes, you can. Yes. They like to do things that's silly, is what I notice. Animals that do things silly, they will mess with another dog or cat that's in the house. They'll mess with it. They'll, like, if the cat's on top of the bed and you notice the cat's like looking over the bed and looking like something's down there, and it like bats at it, or it keeps looking at it like and looking back at you. That's one of your animals communicating, trying to get y'all's attention through the cat.
Oh, that's hysterical.
Or it'll happen to dogs too, but I mean, they love to mess with cats. Dogs love to mess with cats, and vice versa.
Well, I know that cats do have an ability to see, because they'll watch the energies in your home. Like if you find them looking at a corner and there's nothing there to your eye, there's some energy there that they're just paying attention to.
That's right. Exactly. It's kind of funny actually, because they'll kind of stare at it like, what is that? It's not just a general looking.
And they have expressions. Animals can have expressions.
Yes, absolutely.
Which
Yeah.
is so beautiful. But I want to transition our conversation a little bit, because you have so many modalities under your belt and things that you do when you work with your clients. And
Yeah.
I know that Rohan was very new to me when I started at Delphi. Oh, wait, before I ask this question, Jean's on hold. So let's bring Jean on, since we've been
Okay.
talking about her and her situation. So,
Okay.
hello, Jean.
Hi.
Hi,
Hi.
Jean.
Hi. You guys are awesome. This is fabulous. The timing is perfect.
Oh, good.
No
So
coincidence.
our
It's
our dog
synchronistic.
is, and I'm a therapist, and she's a therapy dog, and she's been such an awesome thing in our lives. And she has doggy dementia, and it's been really difficult to try and make the decision. So any information you have would be great.
One of the things that I'm getting from her is there's a real strength in the chest, and like you could feel it in the heart, and the weight on the shoulders. So she's held a lot of responsibility and enjoyed it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, she has a heart murmur.
Yeah. So think about that. Think about how much
Mhm.
she's done as a therapy dog to help someone else through her own heart. She's taken that on, just like we were talking about before. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So one of the things that I'm sensing about her is that she would not want, and this makes me emotional, she would not want you to suffer through what she's suffering through, because
Yeah.
she as the type of dog that she is, she would want you to not suffer with her. Besides her suffering, she would not want you to suffer.
Mhm.
And I know we don't think like that. We don't think like that because they're our babies, and we will do anything we can to keep them with us and take care of them, right?
Right.
So from my understanding here is that you are setting her free. You are not letting her go. You are setting her free. Free from the body
Right.
that can no longer hold on to what that heart has held so strongly. She's collected, and that's all she's got left. But not in her heart, not in her essence, not in her spirit. That will never go away.
Thank you.
Does that help you?
Yeah. Yeah. We had a tough time at Christmas because our son was ready and I wasn't. And it's kind of been a sore spot in our family. And we finally made the decision. So, yeah.
Well, I don't think this decision comes lightly for anyone. We'd like for them to go on their own. That would be the greatest
Yeah.
thing. But
Right.
also the greatest thing is that when we know that there's nothing we can do and they're suffering in some form, then we are doing them a justice to because what have they done for us? How much have they done to help us in our own life? And now they are depending on us to help them. Now, everybody's situation is different. And it's not as if you haven't really given your own heart tests to prove that you were doing the right thing. You have done that over and over again within yourself. You've questioned yourself and you've asked for guidance. So I would suggest to say that she is now giving you the guidance you asked for.
Mm-hmm. That feels right.
Yeah.
When we can notice
Pam,
hang on one second.
Oh, sure.
We're going to go on a break. Pam's going to continue talking to Jean. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Okay, good. We're all
Go
good.
ahead, Pam. You can continue talking to Jean.
Jean, you still there?
Yeah. Yeah.
I just wanted to say that this piece of when we know that we've done everything we can do to help them, and the body is the deterioration and not their heart and soul. If we can see the difference between the two, it really does help, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It feels like she's going to be free.
Oh, that's the part that I would say, I just got my goosebumps. So that's the piece that was very important for her to say through me. Does that make sense? That you are setting her free from that body and to be able to move on into a space that will be easy for her to live in. This world has become hard for her to live in. She would not leave you if she didn't have to in her physical way.
Yeah.
And won't she be near her? Will she be staying close by even though she's
Yes,
on the
as a
other
matter of fact,
side?
I don't know if you're planning to do this or not, but this is what I'm hearing, that she would like to help you in training. So are you going to be training another dog or getting another dog like that? She keeps saying, I want to help train.
I have just developed my own energy healing system, and I think it's more around that.
Okay, well then that's what you
interesting.
recognize that's what she wants to be a part of that. So
Yeah.
so there you go. What that means is use her as your guide as you're doing the work. So when you're doing that work, call on her to help you. And
Wow.
you will always have her. And she said, I will be to her left.
That's pretty awesome. She's been working with me for about 5 years. She's much older than that, but is there anything else that she's wanting me to know?
Why do I see like odd looking shoes? It almost reminds me of Dutch shoes, but I know it's not. Did she have a pair of shoes that she bothered with or messed with, or I don't know what that's about. There's odd looking shoes, like, like the toes are turned up. You know what I mean?
Elf shoes?
Yeah, like fairy
don't know.
shoes or Dutch shoes or something. I keep seeing those shoes. You sure there's not something around that she messes with?
Pam, let's hang on for 1 second. We have to
Okay.
come back in.
Yeah,
Whenever
Okay.
you're ready, Matt.
Coming back. Yep.
Hang on, Jean. We'll be back with you.
You are listening to Guided Spirit Conversations. To reach Marla Goldberg or her guest today, you're invited to call into the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. If you'd rather send an email, the address is guidedspiritconversations@gmail.com. Now, back to this week's program.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for sticking around through another break. If you're tuning in just now, we are with Pam Walker, animal communicator, medium, intuitive, hypnotherapist, Rohan therapist, among a few of her modalities. We're still in the middle of the conversation with Jean that we were started on the other side of the commercial, on the other side of the break. So we're going to finish this conversation and then go to charity shout out. So Pam and Jean, continue, please.
So Jean, I got a little teeny bit more about the shoes. Something about laying on it. So did she have a shoe when she was a puppy or something that she used to lay on or something? It's something like that.
No, but there's something that I thought of. We turned our basement into an English pub, and I made all the stained glass for it. And the main piece is a joker with that kind of shoe.
Oh my gosh. That's awesome. Well, there's your confirmation. That's what they do. They love to do those kinds of things.
Yeah.
So is that a good confirmation for you that you are talking with your sweetheart?
Yeah. She just walked around me and somehow wound up with a bow tie around her neck. I don't know how that happened.
That's so cute. So if you need to have any type of energy work with her, I don't know what time you're having her. What your process is.
Coming to our house at 2:00 tomorrow. So.
Okay. I have a session I have to do tomorrow morning, but just email me if you want anything. Okay.
Okay.
And that's Pam
And
Walker.
thank you so much, honey, for letting me talk with you
Mhm.
today.
And Pam's
Thank
email
you.
is pamwalker287@gmail.com.
287. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Love to you, Jean, and
Bye, Jean.
all of our love and support.
I love your
in
show.
this
This is
situation.
awesome. It's so crazy how it was perfect timing.
Thank you. It's the synchronicity of life.
you,
It's
guys.
showing you needed to be here at the
Mhm.
right time.
Right.
So,
Many
Thank you.
blessings to all of
Thank
you
you.
and your family.
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jean. Well, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Pam. So it is charity shout out time, and Pam's charity is one that I used for my birthday on Facebook this year, which is Old Friends Senior Dog Sanctuary, or which is www.ofsd.org. Let's talk about the senior animals and how this is supporting them.
Yeah, unfortunately, we have a lot of people who are unable to either afford the care of an elderly dog, or their owners don't live, the dogs outlive the owners in a lot of these cases. And then, of course, we have those that move away and can't take their animals with them, and they may have had that animal for a long time. And they're looking for somewhere where the animals will be taken care of. So some are fostered out, and some are taken care of right there at the facility. And knowing that they don't have to go anywhere else is the most important thing for an elderly dog. They need consistency, because they, if they've been shuffled around, that consistency is amazing for them. It's healing.
It is. And you're giving a gift, an end of life gift to one of these animals that, are getting older, and they'll have somebody around them who loves them and who have given them, comfort as they're going to transition, whether it's in a few months or a few years, it's the bond you're going to develop. And it's something that you're actually brought down here to do.
Yes.
So it's not a surprise for people who want to take care of elderly dogs, senior dogs, and help them with their next of life journey.
Yes. Believe it or not, elderly dogs, they're calmer. They're not like puppies. They're not
No.
running around. They know how to use the restroom somewhere else other than the floor or whatever. But they might have some challenges, like they may not be able to see well, or they may not have any teeth left, or, they may have diabetes or something like that requires, someone to pay that kind of money to take care of them. They're not asking you to fix anything anymore in that age. They just want to be taken care of and loved.
I love that. I mean, I truly do. If I didn't travel as much as I did, I would do that.
Absolutely. I had a new client a few months ago, and she had done that. She had adopted an elderly dog, and it had this horrible cough, and she thought that excuse me, as I
Oh.
grab that,
Yes.
she thought maybe that it was going to cause some kind of disease or something. So we ended up getting it on supplements and the healing work that I did, and we did quite a few sessions, and its hair came out better and got soft. Excuse me. And
Do you want a sip of water?
started playing with them and sleeping with them and loving on them, all the opposite of what had happened when they first got it.
Oh, that's so beautiful. But we
And
only have
so it didn't happen that they had, to worry about that.
so they were able to keep the animal. I
Yes.
know we only have a few minutes left. I wanted to touch on Rohan.
Okay.
I know it's a completely different subject. This is a form of healing through, I'll let you explain, Rohan.
Well, Rohan is transpersonal psychology. So it's from the body, mind, spirit look, but it's the thoughts and feelings and how they are in the shadows. So this is unconscious, and our thoughts and feelings are taking us on a journey into possible old pains. So something that may happen out in the world that triggers that will go into that old pain and not even realize we're in it. And our thoughts and feelings have a negative thought and feeling to it. And so we go in to find those negative thoughts and feelings and how that pattern has developed. And so it's psychology, but it's transpersonal because we're working in the energy fields as well as the talking field. So we become aware of where we can be our own worst enemy.
It's so powerful. It's just such a powerful modality.
When you become conscious of it, it is no longer in the unconscious. And that's the major healing. And then you're able to work with it to heal completely, or at least to be aware when it's, and when you get poked at, so to speak. I call it a sore, and someone comes along and says something and poke, and you hurt, and you know it, and you know what it is, and you go, oh, I'm okay. That was just a poke in where I used to be.
Yeah. So it's like if you have a black and blue mark, and you're pressing on the black and blue mark and it's like, ow, ow, ow. But
It
then all of a
needs your
sudden,
attention.
right. And then when
Yeah.
you heal the black and you press the spot, you're like, fine, it doesn't hurt anymore.
That's right. It's very deep. It has
It is
quite a
very
lot of
deep.
different sessions, and it's a year-long process to do. But it is a tremendous healing approach when we have the very deep issues, and especially huge traumas in our lives. This is a huge healing modality.
It's very huge. And I know I've done purification, and we actually went into past lives and did some work with the healing past life issues that came into this lifetime.
That's
And
correct. And that all of that comes into play. You go into the you start out as the child coming out of the wound. And so
absolutely.
it happens right in the beginning when we first are conceived.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing process. Pam, thank you so much for being on the show today. I have to have you back because there's so much more to talk about.
It was my pleasure.
It was so great. To reach Pam, check her out at Pathways to Healing. So there's no I, I'm trying to say it. It's HEALNG.com, pathwaystohealing.com, but no I. Or email Pam at pamwalker287@gmail.com for more information to set up an appointment. You won't be disappointed. That's all I can say, because I know that she was so helpful with my Tuggy, and I know she will be again soon. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to thank everyone at Voice America for helping me get the show on the air, and the amazing work that Matt, the engineer, does for me, and everyone in the office. Thank you, Bridget, my right hand, my left hand. What would I do without you? So grateful. I want to thank you, the listening audience, for taking the time out of your day, out of your life, to participate in this podcast, whether it's live or you watch it on my YouTube page of the same name. Thank you. Love you. So grateful for you in every capacity that you are in my life. I want to remind you that the 30-day meditation challenge starts today. Go to my website at Marla Goldberg. Then Goldberg has 2Rs.com to check out the information for this podcast. I'm sorry, for this meditation challenge. So excited about it. And watch for me interviewing Mike Wagner on the Mike Wagner Show, which we're going to be recording tonight. Check out my Facebook page and links, because I will be having the link on it once it's ready to release. So wishing you all well. And as always, I send you love, blessings, and gratitude. Sending you so much love. So grateful for you being in my life again, in whatever capacity you're in. And until the next time, stay well and have a wonderful Good Friday and Easter if you celebrate. Take care. Bye for now.